Oh, I didn't see you there. Welcome back to the TMS channel. Today we have a special interview with John Adams. Myself and Quincy McDougall III were lucky enough to ask him a few questions. He's here to share his story about his presidency and contributions to the creation of our country. For more videos and information from this interview, go to tearsmystudents.org.
Hello, welcome to Get the Grade. I'm your host, Quincy McDougall III, and this is my partner over here, Randall Tycoon.
Hello.
We're here today to talk to the first Vice President of the U.S. He's also the second President of the U.S., John Adams. Loved by many, but not all. He's here today to tell us his story.
Thank you for having me.
So, Mr. Adams, why don't you tell us a little about yourself? Let the audience get to know you.
As you know, I was the first Vice President and the second President of the United States of America. But also, I was a lawyer before that. I was chosen to represent Massachusetts in the Continental Congress, and I am a founding father of America. In addition, I helped negotiate the Treaty of Paris, which ended the Revolutionary War.
What did you do to help the country stand on its own 2 feet once the war was over?
I was in Britain, acting as the first American ambassador there.
What was it like in Britain? Did everyone treat you as an equal? How did Parliament treat you?
I was mostly ignored by Parliament.
And this was because you were a reminder of Britain's failure with the colonies, right?
Yes.
What did you do then?
I went to libraries and studied the history of European politics, seeing what worked and what didn't work in order to help America's government. I compiled all of this knowledge into 4 volumes called A Defense of the Constitutions of the United States of America.
Oh yeah, I read that. Wasn't the basic summary of it that utopian visions that needed a huge change in human nature and a huge break from the past would fail?
Yes, that is correct.
How did you contribute to America as Vice President and President?
As Vice President, I did nothing. The job was frustrating, to say the least. Once I told my wife, my country had in its wisdom contrived for me the most insignificant office that ever the invention of man contrived or his imagination conceived. As president, there was the XYZ affair, where the French refused to negotiate unless they were paid a bribe. I refused and reported this incident to Congress.
The XYZ affair boosted your popularity, but it did start an unofficial naval war between America and France. Was there anything else during your presidency that you wanted to talk about?
There was the Alien and Sedition Acts. These acts allowed the government to deport any enemy aliens or anyone who strongly disagreed with the government. I also created the U.S. Navy Department and made George Washington the commander of the Army.
According to whitehouse.gov, you have said, people and nations are forged in the fires of adversity. Care to elaborate on that?
What I meant by that was that people, much like nations, must be challenged by something, whether it's a person, a nation, or something else entirely, for them to become great.
Switching the subject a bit here, what political party were you in, Mr. Adams?
I was a Federalist. I supported the Constitution and separating from Britain and fighting for our freedom in every way possible.
Are there any other ideologies you want to tell us about?
I combined the Puritanism from New England with Enlightenment ideas in order to create a new government system that was capable of balancing individual ambitions and competing social classes.
Yeah, okay, I told them. Breaking news! Mr. Adams, we've just been informed that you've lost the election for president to Thomas Jefferson. Our sources say this may be due to your unpopularity from signing the Alien and Sedition Acts. Care to comment?
Well, Quincy, at the time I felt like I was doing my best to protect our nation's interests. All I can do is hope that Jefferson holds up his end of the bargain and does as best as I did.
That's pretty interesting, but it appears time's up, folks. Come back next week on Get the Grade. As you can see, John Adams was important because he helped America's government with his book, A Defense on the Constitution of the United States of America. He served as vice president for 8 years and president for 4 years. His contributions were instrumental to the founding of our nation, and his knowledge and ideas were like no other.
Did you find our secret message? Was it A, I heart Mr. Razem, B, Andrew sneezed, or C, Mrs. Razem is better? The answer was A, I heart Mr. Razem.